Hunt, what was your take of the college football classic filmed right here, the majority of it in Baton Rouge, in your beloved Tiger Stadium? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think if you're an LSU fan and you're from Baton Rouge or spend a lot of time in Baton Rouge, that part's really cool because it's in Tiger Stadium and Tiger Stadium's full. The band's playing. Dan Bournet is the PA announcer. He also is the MC of the reunion at the end of the movie. There's a lot of really cool LSU stuff in it. As a movie, not great. I mean, the play to end the Sugar Bowl is the most ridiculous thing I've ever
Lawrence,
seen.
pitch me the ball.
George is taking a knee, and he flies over the top, knocks the ball out, and runs it back for a 65-yard touchdown to win the national championship. I'm not sure about that. And then I guess the moral of the entire movie is, even if you think you've got it all and you're the superstar football player for your home state and you make a bunch of money and you become a golf pro and your whole life's supposedly awesome, that sometimes life kind of sucks. But I didn't like the end of it where basically he finds out that his wife's cheated on him and I will be just fine. I'm not thrilled about that whole thing. So I didn't love it.
She spent a lot of time with Donnie. The Gray Ghost has bills to pay too, Hunt. That was the big takeaway, man. It doesn't matter how big of a superstar you are, you still got to pay your bills.
Yeah, another thing I did notice, just kind of a random coincidence. I don't know who it was. I didn't look it up, but some actor in the movie's name was Ray Baker, which is what Ogeron calls the son, and it's been like a big social media thing, which I thought was fun.
That is pretty good. I've never noticed that. All right, Hunt Palmer every week here. Greg Heiar yesterday, big news around here. What'd you make of it?
You had heard these whispers for a while, so I don't think it caught anybody by surprise. And I heard a little bit of what you said earlier, and that's kind of the sense that I get, that it was just kind of time. I think the one thing that, generally speaking, is the case with most assistant coaches in any sport is they would like to be head coaches, and most of the decisions that they make in their career are geared toward the best angle to become a head coach. And I think there was some of that with Greg Heiar, and I think there was some mutual feelings that it was time to kind of move along. And that's the nature of coaching. People don't just sit around in one place all that long, especially as an assistant. So, he did a really good job at LSU. They recruited some really good classes, and they've developed some really good players, and that's kind of what he's done everywhere. And he'll do a really good job at the next place, but it's time to kind of move on down the road.
From LSU basketball, we transitioned to LSU baseball. You're starting to get a feel about what this roster is going to look like next season, right?
Yeah, starting to have some uncomfortable conversations, I'm sure. You start looking at the way things have gone, and you see that Hal Hughes moves on, Eric Walker moves on, Chase Costello moves on, C.J. Willis headed to ULL. Looks like Wes Toops will not be back either, and it's just a result of the situation. When you've got more guys coming in the signing class than you anticipated and less guys leaving, and you leave everything at 11.7 scholarships, there's no way around that. It just has to happen, and it's not fun for anybody. But it's kind of the way I've said. Paul Mainieri's job is not to make sure that everybody is happy all the time. Paul Mainieri's job is to win baseball games at LSU, and he's got to make decisions that are in the best interest of winning baseball games for LSU. And sometimes, on a personal level, that's not all that much fun. But that's the situation, and he's got to have those discussions. And there's going to be a lot of really good players coming in this signing class, and a couple of guys coming back. And when there's not room, but you got to win games.
Did you ever hear whispers about Storrs' aspirations football being around the program, baseball?
That was news to me. I mean, it makes sense. He's 6'6", 250 pounds, and I don't know. There are a lot of kind of things that make that interesting. One is the fact that I don't know what the baseball team's financial commitment is to him. It's easy in basketball and football. You go, that guy's on scholarship. But as far as baseball goes, you could be on 25%, or you could be on 100%, or you could be on 0. And I don't know what that is. But if he plays on the football team, it's my understanding that he cannot receive any scholarship money from any other sport. I think that's an NCAA rule, that if you play football, you have to be on football scholarship or none.
That's the old Bear Bryant. That's what you see.
Right.
He had everybody playing. He had everybody playing football.
Yeah. So I don't know if that compromises things. I also know that this is a guy who spent 3 years hurt, and then he's going to go out there and bash 285-pound defensive ends all day at practice and then go play baseball again in the spring. That seems a little bit far-fetched to me, too. So, if he thinks that his days playing baseball or that his future in baseball are not very long, and he wants to go out there and run out of the tunnel in Tiger Stadium, more power to him. I think that's great. I don't know if he can help or not, but obviously this is something that he's thought about and probably not a decision he's made likely. And I think that, it's great if he wants to do it.
Now that you've seen the draft and you see some of the transfers, and Cole Henry went to the Washington Nationals and he's gone, what do you anticipate the starting rotation to look like next year? Just kind of spitballing.
Yeah, obviously the talent that you would rise to the top would be Jaden Hill at the top of the rotation, and then Marceau, and then Labus. I still think Fontenot fits in at the back end. I could try to overanalyze it and see a scenario where they look at Fontenot and say, "Oh man, you went 6 innings against Florida State and we're still holding your velocity, in that super regional game." And you realize that the reason you probably weren't drafted very high, even though you got really good stuff, is because your profile is a reliever. We'll let you start, but I don't think that that's necessarily going to happen. So I think that those three are very likely your starters, but they've got some more talent back there. They can dip around.
With the students being back on campus, it looks like they're aiming for a start date in college football. What are you making of the news that's coming out that the voluntary workouts are happening on campus now, and then you get a hard date of July 13th and 24th when you can get on the field and start working out before fall camp?
Well, what I've taken from this is that we were in a state, back in March, where when someone tested positive, it was shut the whole thing down. We got to lock it down, and panic kind of set in. We now hear every single day about multiple people at multiple college football programs testing positive as they report back, and the answer just becomes, sit down for 2 weeks. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And so I think that we're making progress in that regard. Do I think we're quite ready to put 100,000 people in stadiums? No, but I hope we're moving closer to that than move in reverse. So I don't know anything, but I'm just hopeful that we're able to put some people in Tiger Stadium and watch some football this year.
Ogeron was here earlier this week, and he was talking about the quarterbacks. He went in depth on all three of them. And one thing is evident, man, that I don't think that we've talked about a lot. It's been a storyline, but we haven't really kind of really highlighted it, is that you're really a play away from a true freshman taking a snap as a meaningful snap down the line. And this is a place that we've talked about LSU being in from a quarterback standpoint in the past. But I mean, when you look at the fall off from the fourth-year junior in Brennan to a true freshman, what's your feeling about LSU's quarterback position going into the fall?
Well, that's an uncomfortable thought, but here's the reality. Sophomores and juniors who are not starting at that position in this sport don't stick around. They leave. So to try to think that you're going to have a junior backup that's a talented player at that spot in this climate of college football is probably not that realistic. They just don't stick around. So it was nice to have Miles Brennan there last year, just in case, but that's just not always going to be the case. And LSU's done as good a job as you can do at stockpiling solid quarterbacks class after class, and they'll start to come in as of next year. But, you just got to hope that you stay healthy, because if you don't, most people are going to be dipping down to a very young, very inexperienced player.
What's your personal feeling tell you about Arch Manning? Does LSU have a true shot?
I think they have a true shot. Would I bet LSU? No, but I don't fall in either of these two camps. I don't fall into no Manning would ever step foot on LSU's campus, and I don't fall into the camp of, well, he's from Louisiana, he's definitely going to go to LSU. Look at this offense. I just think it's a recruiting process that's going to play out. All the Mannings have done that, and I anticipate this being the same. I certainly would make LSU the favorite, but there's no reason why you wouldn't give them a look.
Has the pandemic kept you out of the studio forever? Will you never come back for this segment?
I'll come back for the segment, but as of right now, when I'm not even allowed to get up and go to the office, I'm probably not going to make a huge effort to bustle up there at 7:15.
It's fair. I like your new attitude, bro. I love it. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you next Friday. We'll give you a movie before we get out of here.
Would love to see it. Thanks, Jordy.
All right, man. There he is. Hunt Palmer checking in this morning every Friday, just like he does here on Off the Bench. He's from the LSU Sports Radio Network. A lot to talk about there. LSU basketball making some moves on the coaching staff yesterday, LSU Baseball, who Hunt is probably the greatest resource that we have in the building to talk about baseball. Now that you get a clear idea of what the roster is going to start to look like after the draft, after a couple of transfers. Remember, we told you yesterday, C.J. Willis out. He's going down to UL to finish his eligibility, so he's moving on from LSU. You're starting to get a clearer picture, and it was cool to hear Hunt talk about what he anticipates maybe that pitching staff to look like next year after Cole Henry was taken by the Washington Nationals in last week's Major League Baseball draft.